As some of you already know, we slept in our Tesla for 13 nights on our 20-day European road trip, and I recently made a post in Reddit about how comfortable it actually is to sleep in your Tesla, and that post is kind of blown up. It's currently got over 94,000 views, over 200 comments, and it turns out the people on Reddit have a lot to say about Tesla camping. So what we're going to do in this video is we're just going to react to some of the common questions that we have, and I'm going to essentially break down what those common questions are and give the answers to them as well. Some of them were serious, some of them were hilarious, and some just wanted to know how we went to the toilet, or worse. But quickly, let's just talk about why it actually felt comfortable. So if you've not slept in your Tesla yet, or you've not experienced it, it's actually surprisingly cozy. It's a great place to sleep. Everything has its place. You've got climate control, so long as you've got a comfy mattress. Like, it genuinely feels like you're in a hotel room or you're in your own room at home. And in all honesty, this post wasn't about comparing sleeping in your own bed to sleeping in a Tesla. It's more so just about how surprisingly comfortable it was and the amount of money that you can actually save on hotel stays if you just slept in your Tesla. And it's not necessarily about it being better than your mattress at home. It's more so about just how it's easy to adapt to a more simple way of sleeping. Because the strange thing that happened to us was coming home, it actually felt really weird to go back to a big bed in a big room, and for the first few days it was hard to actually make that adjustment back to normal life, and I actually found myself considering going out to sleep in the car, as crazy as that sounds. So as always with Reddit, you're gonna get some classic comments, and the top comment on this post that I made certainly comes under that category. So competitive guava 33 says, where do you shower or take a great question. So yeah, a couple of funny responses here, but ultimately, as you guys know, we were at campsites, so we obviously had access to toilets and facilities there, so we could go and use their showers, go and use their toilets. So we do know other people take their own composting toilets or chemical toilets. That's obviously an option as well, especially if you're going to wild camp in somewhere like Scotland or one of the other European countries that allows wild camping. But yeah, it's not like we were doing it in the Tesla, or as I jokingly said, on the sunroof. We were obviously going and using the facilities on site, and the facilities on many of the campsites actually put a lot of hotel facilities that we've been to in the past to shame. So honestly, you shouldn't let that put you off actually going camping in your Tesla, or just going camping in general. But one tip I will say is just always bring your own toilet roll or your own toilet paper, because you never know when it's going to run out, and it's just always nice to have your own one to take about with you. Okay, let's talk about the funniest comment award. So it's not actually from this user, but he kind of kicked off the whole conversation. So he basically says, a hotel without shower and toilet. Not sure how you sorted that out if you also skipped campsites, which obviously we visited, but I think it's a glorified tent at best, but learned that being 195, I'm not even going to try and sleep in the car. So I essentially just addressed the height limitation there and just said, you can still do it at your height. Just need to push the front seats forward, get a headrest extender and a decent mattress, or go all in and invest in the Snoozo mattress, which is designed in the Netherlands, where everyone is tall as it's over 2 meters in length and you don't need the headrest extender. So funniest comment award goes to Smartnership. He said, that's a $900 mattress. It better cuddle me and brush my hair and tell me I'm pretty, and then of course sleep with me as intended. Okay. So yeah, totally fair, totally get that comment. Watch this space. We'll see next week if the Snoozo lives up to the hype. We've got a very exciting mattress review coming for you guys, so make sure you watch that one. Another common question that always pops up when you tell people about Tesla camping is the battery drain. So when people get an EV, first of all, they have range anxiety when they're driving anywhere far. And then when you talk about camping, it's all about, oh, like how much is the battery going to drain overnight? So obviously that question was going to come up here. So Joke Boy commented saying, did you keep it in camp mode? What was the drain rate? So we essentially only use camp mode when we were sleeping. We didn't use it during the day. And we actually set the climate to manual, so you just turn off auto from the touchscreen and then just manually set the fan speed to 1. That meant that drain was minimal. It was about 8 to 15% per night depending on the weather conditions outside. And that was also with us running our fridge 24/7 via the 12 volt as well. This person's Singlet Warrior said turned off auto but it's still air conditioned. Fan without AC shouldn't drain 8% per night, should it? But I think that that's potentially because the car can't completely go to sleep when it's in camp mode, because it has to know when or if it reaches the 20% battery limit so that it can disable camp mode and reactivate the security alarm. But essentially, with enough planning, make sure you arrive at the campsite with between like 60 to 80%, you're set. Even if you were just staying for 1 night or 2 nights, you could get away with arriving at a lower state of charge as well. So just make sure you set that camp mode setting before you go to sleep. Don't have it running during the day. It's not necessary. And yeah, just dial down your fan speed to 1. I would assume it's going to pull less power being at a lower speed. And it kept things comfortable for us. It maintained the temperature, so we didn't have any issues. And like I said, we were powering our fridge, the Uhome fridge, which you can see in the gear checklist in the description as well. That is a fantastic fridge. I cannot believe the value for money with that fridge. It's so inexpensive. It's energy rated A, it's really quiet, it's got plenty of storage, and it even has an app. So go and check out the gear checklist where you can see all of the gear that we actually used in the video description. Another issue with the Model 3 and the Model Y is that the rear seats, when you fold them down, they don't fold completely flat. So when you're actually going to sleep on your mattress, it technically is at a slight angle, and this is an issue for some people, or people who haven't camped in their Tesla foresee this as being an issue, and rightly so. So let's have a wee look at that. This person is always Sione commented saying, did it not being leveled bother you at all? I've laid down a few times but just couldn't get used to my head, I'm assuming that's meant to say, / neck area not being leveled with the rest. So I basically queried that, did you lay down using a decent mattress, or did you just lay down on the bare folded rear seats, which is obviously not going to be comfortable. Even if they were completely flat, you really need some sort of sleeping pad to make it at least somewhat comfortable, if not a mattress. So a quality mattress will help even out that dip. Didn't bother us with our Xped mattress, but might be more noticeable with other mattresses. You can fairly easily remove the rear bench seats to allow the rear seats to fold completely flat. So this is something, let me know in the comments if you guys want me to trial this out. I'm interested in experimenting with it. Essentially the rear seats in the Tesla Model Y, and I think in the 3 as well, you can fairly easily remove the bench part, basically where your bum sits on. So you can take that off, you can store it in the footwell there, and the actual rear seats then fold completely flat. So that is an option if you have a real issue with that slight angle, but for us, we really didn't notice it. The only slight issue was that occasionally, when we would push our mattress up, far away from the boot or the trunk lid, sometimes in the morning when we'd wake up, we realized that the mattress throughout the night had slid down to the boot trunk area, and my feet were then touching it, which was a bit uncomfortable. But if we were going to do it again, we would just put something somewhat firm or soft in that gap between the mattress and the rear boot trunk lid, and that would stop the mattress from sliding down. The other route is, like I said, just take out the bench seats. And some people actually build like platforms to level out the angle as well. So there's the option to do like a little DIY hack there. But just for full transparency, it doesn't work for everybody. So this user here, Stained Teabag, said even with the Xped, the slight angle in the back was an issue for me in our 22 and 23 35-day road trip across the USA. Did you find any tricks? I even tried leveling with blankets and clothes. Regardless, we had a blast with 2 adults, mid-5 and a 70 pounds dog. Hope you can say the same and find time to do it again. So, you know, I just said it's maybe a personal preference thing. You know, you could have removed the rear bench seats. It's probably what you really need to do. But I was wondering, where did your dog sleep? Like in the back with you? Our dog is around 20 kilograms, and I think converted 70 pounds is like about 30 kilograms. So obviously their dog's a lot bigger. But we wouldn't have him in the car with us. He will be in our tent that attaches to the car, because if he was in the back with us, regardless of level bed or not, there's no way we'd get a good sleep. So that's one of the kind of issues for us doing trips in the future, is we need to use our tent for taking Alfie. We have to use the tent. We can't just have him in the car with us and not put up the tent. So that's a bit of a spanner in the works, but just shows you there using the Xped. This person didn't find it worked out for them. So yeah, all I can give is my opinion on it, what we experienced. I've asked Rebecca this multiple times and she's constantly said she had no issues with the angle. We're not the biggest, we're not the heaviest people, so maybe that plays into it. I'm not sure. But like I said, there's the option to remove that rear bench, and there's other mattresses that do actually fix this issue. Another common question that people have is about ventilation. So if you're sleeping in the Tesla and you've got the boot or the trunk closed, people are worried about, do you have enough fresh air coming in and that sort of thing. So this user here, Columbus, who must have a Model Y, said, how's the ventilation while sleeping? Are you getting enough fresh air? So I just said, you know, we had no issues with ventilation. Most nights we slept inside the car, but with the tent attached, so had the luxury of the boot trunk being open. So you're obviously going to get access to lots of fresh air that way. But even sleeping with the boot and trunk closed, we had no issues with ventilation at all. So that's the great thing about camp mode. You can just run it all night while you sleep, and it's going to pull in that fresh air. You're not going to have to worry about CO2 buildup and all that sort of stuff. And in all honesty, if you didn't want to run camp mode for whatever reason, or if you wanted more ventilation, you could just use the vent function in the Tesla app just to pop the windows down slightly, or you could just manually do this with 1 or 2 windows as well to let fresh air come in. But yeah, it really wasn't an issue with us. I know that some people are used to sleeping at home with like a window cracked open all the time, so maybe in that case you would need to up the fan speed if you had no windows open, or maybe you would need to open some windows. But there's tons of options there to like dial it down to your own personal preference. And the other thing as well is that having privacy screens actually helps, not so much with the ventilation, but with any condensation that might occur. So it's really common if people just like sleep in a car without running like air conditioning or running their fans, and if it's all sealed up and closed, it's common for people to wake up with lots of condensation on the windows inside. But we didn't have that at all. And one, that was aided by the fact we were using camp mode, but 2, the privacy screens not only give you privacy, but they actually put a barrier up between the glass and any like moisture in the air. So yeah, privacy screens are a great investment. Again, it's all linked in the gear checklist in the video description. So next up we had Dog with a Blog, who commented saying, can you share photos or info about your setup during the day while driving from place to place? So he's essentially wanting to know, what did we do with all of the kit that we had when we were actually on the road? So essentially it's really simple. So the subfloor, which is basically the boot or trunk of the Tesla, has this subfloor underneath it. That's where our fridge lived, just permanently lived there. Unless we had the tent set up, we would sometimes take the fridge out of the subfloor just so it was more accessible inside the tent. It also helped us prevent ourselves from bumping our head off of the boot or trunk lid as well, because it reminded us that there was something there. In the actual boot or trunk, like the little side bins, like the little cubbies that you get in the Tesla Model Y. We just stored like cleaning cloths and spare pumps and things like that there. And then in the actual boot or trunk itself, when we were driving, that's where we stored our mattress, you know, our Xped Megamat Auto rolled up in its bag. Our massive camping chairs fit in there perfectly fine. Our table as well. Our solar panels. Our backpacks that had all of our clothes and lots of other random items like, you know, pots and pans and cutlery and the Sherpa fleece blankets and all that sort of stuff. It all fits really easily inside the boot or the trunk. And then in the rear seats, in the like footwell of the rear seats, that's where we stored our Jackery, power bank, and like shoes and like food that didn't need to go inside the fridge. So like crisps and snacks, and maybe we would put some like fruit and things like that we wanted to have easy access to while we were on the road. And then in the actual frunk, or in the UK some people call it a fruit, that's where our tent basically went. So our Tesla tent went there, packed away in its bag, fits perfectly. We put like all the little pegs and camping pegs and hammer and stuff like that all went in there as well. So yeah, it's surprising how much space there is in the Model Y. And let's say you were traveling with a family, or let's say you were taking like a lot more kit, there's always more options. You can get one of those rooftop storage things that you could put extra stuff in there. And you could also just be really ruthless and just take the essentials. So long as you've got the essentials, if you really want the nice to haves, you could always get them while you're on the road. But as long as you've got those essentials, you're set. And there's so much room in the Model Y, it's insane. It's like a TARDIS essentially. So another common theme kept popping up with a few commenters as well, and it was essentially came down to cost versus value. So Tall Description commented saying, how does it compare sleeping in a car or my own $3,500 hybrid king-size bed with modern amenities of a home? It doesn't compare. Sleeping in a car sucks ass. It'll do in a pinch. Where do my legs go? It's hard to sit up. There's hardly any room. It's better than sitting in a front seat. We bought the mattress for the wife's Y and considered doing a single night on a beach, but it surely is roughing it and it does not compare to my own bed. So I totally get where he's coming from. And I genuinely wouldn't blame anyone for preferring their own bed, but that said, for us it honestly didn't feel like a downgrade. After many nights in the Tesla, it got so cozy and familiar that I could sleep in our home mattress or the Xped and not really mind either way. It wasn't about it being better, just super comfortable in its own way. And I think what we really miss is the simplicity and minimalism of it. Everything had its place, the space was small but cozy, and we felt really settled into a rhythm. Coming home to a big bed and a big room, I actually felt kind of weird after that. It's definitely not for everyone, but it surprised us how not roughing it actually was. And he had some really encouraging words there, so I appreciate that Tall Description. And also, if we circle back to this commenter from previously, he made an interesting point about his height. And basically saying that, you know, he's not sure how we sorted out the shower and toilet situation. Obviously you guys know that, but he thinks it's a glorified tent at best. And in all honesty, that's kind of the point. It's minimal, it's mobile, you know, it's a tent with climate control and a fridge, and it's cheaper than a hotel. So that's really the point, you know. There's obviously a trade-off no matter what you do, but the amount of money that we saved camping compared to being in hotels, that's most likely paid for most, if not all, of the kit that we invested in already. So yeah, it's all about shifting your perspective. It's a different way of traveling. It's a way to see the world in a way that you wouldn't normally do. And sometimes it's nice just to strip things back to the bare bones, because you then really do appreciate that as humans, we can adapt to so many situations. And that's exactly what we felt on this trip. It was a roller coaster of emotions, but overall, sleeping in the car for 13 nights over a 20-day road trip, it was easy. And if we had to do a full 20 days or a full 30 days just in the car, we could easily do it. It wouldn't be a big issue. And I just want to show you guys our gear setup and essentials just quickly from the post here. So this was us sleeping in the car without a tent, So we're going to close the boot, close the trunk for the night essentially, and we're just getting everything set up. And this is what actually makes it work. So you want to focus on comfort. You want a good quality sleep. That's what you really want. You want to be excited to go to sleep at night. You don't want to be dreading that moment. And this all comes down to getting a good quality mattress, a good quality Sherpa fleece blanket or something equivalent to that that you can stay warm in, but you can also easily pop it off if you need to cool down. And we even took our own pillows from home. It was a nice home comfort. That was honestly like the MVP of the whole trip, was just having that home comfort, your own pillow. It's always the case, you go to a hotel or something like that and you're sleeping on a different pillow and it just makes it a bit strange. So taking our own pillow was a big game changer. And you can see that's both of our Sherpa fleece blankets lined up there. We've got one each. They're massive. One would fit the whole Tesla, but having one each just meant we weren't fighting over them. And this is our Xped mattress. This is the manual pump that comes with it. Rebecca's just inflating that there. Cannot rate this mattress enough. It's fantastic, fantastic value for money. And there's our fridge. Having a fridge, being able to keep food and drinks cool. It even acts as a freezer and it just perfectly fits in this subfloor in Tesla Model Y. You can see there we've got it set to 3 degrees Celsius. You can do all of that via the app. So even while you're driving, you can check in on it in the app, make sure it's working, and it worked flawlessly the whole time. We had it powered on the 12 volt, and when we actually got to Berlin, the fridge in the apartment there really wasn't good. So we actually pulled this fridge out of the car, took it into the apartment, powered it off of the mains, and it was amazing. So I highly recommend that. All of these little things, these are the essentials that actually make it work. And if you get this right the first time, you're going to be excited to go on more and more Tesla camping trips. So if you want to see the full Reddit post, I'll put the link in the description. You can go join the conversation, see what else other people said. Some folks commented some inappropriate comments that I think personally they're just curious to know about certain stuff, but they can use their own imagination, or maybe don't use their imagination when it comes to those things. We have family and friends who watch these videos now, so yeah, we're not going to get into those topics, but you can go and check out the post. I'll link it in the description. And next week we have got a super exciting video coming for you guys. We are going to be testing a $900 Tesla camping mattress, and we're going to see if this thing lives up to the hype, so do not miss that video. And I'm curious to hear from you guys. Drop some comments down below. Have you camped in your Tesla? What's your setup like? If you've not done it yet, what's holding you off? Drop some comments down below. We'll do our best to answer all of those. And if you're curious to see our full Tesla camping walkthrough where we camp without a tent, you can watch the video over here to see all of the setup that's required. So thanks so much for watching. Don't miss the review video next week of the $900 mattress, and we'll see you guys then.